getting out and experiencing the upcoming sturgeon spearing season is part of how we live in Northeast Wisconsin. In less than 1 week, people will be out on the ice looking to bring in that prehistoric fish. Fox 11's Eric Peterson introduces us to a Fond du Lac man who uses technology to create sturgeon decoys.
My favorite is the Wonder Bread pattern, just because it was something, totally new for me. Okay. Trying to, I could have did paint, but I am not that great at painting. So I designed it so each individual spot is also 3D printed.
Brent Mulholland says he started to experiment with 3D printing about 3 years ago after seeing sturgeon decoys for sale in a local restaurant.
And I'm like, well, that's useful. I wonder if I could print a decoy. And then I started trying to teach myself 3D design from there, like CAD and 3D sculpting. And after a month or two of tinkering and kind of learning the ropes, I had the white and the red one on the corners there are sort of the early designs. Once you have the design, you put it into the software that takes it and sort of plots the route that the print head will take, and then it extrudes melted plastic in whatever shape you input, and it does that layer by layer by layer, very fine layers. A lot of these decoys are upwards of 1,000 layers stacked on top of each other. But think of like a tube of toothpaste going in a circle and laying down, and then you go up a line, and then you go up a line. That, but sort of micro.
After checking with the Department of Natural Resources,
it's all above board. It doesn't produce its own light. It's just releasing light that it absorbed.
Mulholland offers a line that glows in the dark.
I printed the first one and put it all together and got it all rigged up and ready to go, and hit it with a flashlight, a really bright flashlight, and took it into the bathroom, at night when there's, no lights at all, and it was bright. And I was like, this is great.
Brent says it takes hours to create his designs, but the one that tested his skills the most is this 36-inch decoy.
I took the design of my, my classic style sturgeon, and then it's a matter of blowing it up, and then from there, figuring out how you're going to fit it on a printer, which meant, I think, 5 or 6 separate prints just for the body. But yeah, it's time-consuming, but it's rewarding. I think it's just super cool. I got to say it myself.
In Fond du Lac, Eric Peterson, Fox 11 News.
I was really hoping that this was going to be a year where all of those stars were going to align for our spearers, and it's still possible. We'll see what happens, but the system just changes so quickly.
With nearly 10,000 license holders getting ready to take to the ice for the upcoming campaign, sturgeon spearing season is part of how we live here in Northeast Wisconsin. And the early reports are actually pointing toward clearer water clarity, and that could produce a higher harvest.
But the DNR sturgeon biologist warns things always seem to change a little bit. Fox 11's Eric Peterson talked to those who are gearing up and has our story from the Fox Valley.
About 2 miles off the Lake Winnebago northern shoreline, Lake Park Sportsman's Club Vice President Kevin Streck is looking for clear water.
Clarity started out really good. 2 weeks ago, we had crystal clear water on the north end. But Mother Nature kind of had a different idea for us. We lost about the bottom 3 feet in the last week or so.
Spearers typically need about 12 feet of clear water to be successful. DNR sturgeon biologist Margaret Stadig says crews recently surveyed 21 sites around Lake Winnebago. Water clarity averaged 13.8 feet.
And at that point in time, water clarity was probably the best we'd seen it in over a decade, which was fantastic. But things on Winnebago shift very quickly. And unfortunately, I've been getting reports from anglers around the system that water clarity might not be as great as we were hoping. Usually it's we don't have enough snow and we get an algal bloom. I don't think that's the case. Usually it's precipitation comes down and kind of stirs up the bottom and causes a lot of turbidity. We haven't had that either.
With opening day approaching, Margaret Stadig says she hopes time will help. On Tuesday morning, Kevin Streck says this test revealed water clarity of about 15 feet.
And I'm hoping it gets better. Unfortunately, the weather's supposed to be warm this next week. We might get a little runoff, and that's going to cause, the water to get stirred up a little bit more. So we'll make the best of it.
On Lake Winnebago, Eric Peterson, Fox 11 News.
And the season kicks off Saturday morning at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, it's set to run 16 days or until those harvest caps are reached.
Taking to the ice to spear that perfect sturgeon is part of how we live here in Northeast Wisconsin. And this morning, believe it or not, people were out there on the ice trying to start to gearing up to do just that.
Yeah, that's right. Spearers were actually out today cutting holes in the ice, getting their spots ready so they can get going on Saturday. Fox 11's Eric Peterson has our story from the Fox Valley.
Just about right in the middle of Lake Winnebago, Sean Wendt and his crew will start.
Got a lot of shanties to cut in, so we are giving her, get her done. Beautiful day out.
We're cutting in about 26 shanties right now for the day, probably some tomorrow too.
Scott Klein says conditions on the surface are great.
20 to 24 inches of ice for the most part over the whole lake. It's nice to be able to drive in a truck again. You're not hauling and strapping stuff to a snowmobile and a sled or a four-wheeler.
Crews use teamwork, not only to cut the 48 square foot hole, but to maneuver the huge block of ice under the frozen surface.
Cutting's going pretty good. It's a lot of ice to cut through. It takes a little bit more to go through it. We're going to go through a little bit more gas today, a little bit more brawn to push the kegs down versus other years.
After the holes are cut, the shack is slid into place. Spearers are able to check the clarity of the water below. Experts say it takes about 12 feet of clear water for spearers to be successful. On Thursday morning, Sean Wendt says, so far, so good.
We're in 18 feet of water out here, and we can see our disc on the bottom, see our pipes on the bottom.
What does that mean for the season?
It's looking pretty good. Looking like they should get some fish. If it stays like this, we got 2 more days to go. We got warm temperatures coming, so you don't know what's going to happen there with the cracks moving and everything, but we'll just have to take it day by day.
On Lake Winnebago, Eric Peterson, Fox 11 News.
I don't know, being out here in the ice desk, can you imagine cutting through?
Right.
And stake your claim?
There you go.
Well, it's going to be happening because the season starts Saturday morning at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, now it runs 16 days or until those harvest cap numbers are reached, so you got to keep an eye on that.
A new pop-up bar has opened on Lake Winnebago. Yes, you heard that right, on Lake Winnebago. And it started selling drinks just in time for the start of sturgeon spearing.
Something different, the first of its kind this year. Our Valley reporter Josh Cavender, he volunteered to go out onto the ice and check it out. He has our story tonight.
A mile out from the shore of Lake Winnebago sits an unlikely sight. The first ice bar run by Sturgeon Spirits in Oshkosh.
So we are standing on about 2 feet of frozen ice as we made our way out here, and you can kind of see what we have. We have a nice pop-up bar, and we have cocktails, and we have bottles.
The bar is a fully legal operation, thanks to some creative loopholes and a change in alcohol laws back in 2024 that allowed a second location.
It said the second retail license could be anywhere. It didn't have any specifications, and I said from the very minute I started thinking about this, I'm like, how do we sell our product on the lake during sturgeon season?
The bar on the ice is offering 7 specialty drinks to those brave enough to make the journey a mile off the shore, and they'll be retired once the bar closes up shop. Visitors who made their way to the bar say it's worth the drive.
It was a little scary at first driving out, but it's been so much fun. Everybody that's been here so far has stopped by, had a couple drinks, talked, and I met a few people who are sturgeon spearers. I caught my first sturgeon. Yay.
It's pretty neat. It's cool that it's a local business and everything. And a lot of people have always talked about someone should put a bar and sell drinks out here. They'd probably make a killing, so now someone's doing it.
The bar isn't just for those spearing sturgeon. It's open to everyone.
I mean, I think a minority of people are actual spearers. They just wanted to be, they needed an excuse to get together, get out on the lake, enjoy a beautiful day, have a cocktail with friends, and that's really what Sturgeon Spirits is all about.
The bar will be open for the next 2 sturgeon spearing weekends, closing up shop on February 22nd. On Lake Winnebago, Josh Cavender, Fox 11 News.
I don't know, lots of smiles out there. That might be a pretty hopping place to be.
I think so, and it'll be open, what, from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, just on the weekends, same time next weekend.
Spearers are out on Lake Winnebago for day 1 of the season. That started about an hour and a half ago. That is where we will find Fox 11 Savannah Wood. Savannah, what do you got going on right now?
Good morning, Cal. East side of Lake Winnebago. We came out of the town of Pipe, about 2 miles onto the ice, 26 inches out here. It is kind of warm outside. It's definitely warm in this shanty. I got Jeff with me this morning. Beautiful setup that we got going on, and I'm sitting in a classic spearing chair, right?
Yeah, just about. Yeah, it's a pretty standard spearing chair that guys and gals build around here. It little keeps the strain off your back, and you can kind of lean over and watch the hole. So, yeah.
This is
comfortability is key when you're doing this.
Oh yeah, especially when you're out here for hours and hours. And patience is the name of the game. We're staring down into a hole. Basically, we see 2 decoys down there.
Yep.
The visibility is great today. How has it been so far this morning?
We haven't seen anything yet, but yeah, as you can see, the visibility is terrific. And that's key for spearing out here on Winnebago. It's having clear water, obviously, so you can see the fish. They're hard to see as it is, but we have some PVC pipes down there and some lattice work to kind of give us a little white bottom there, so we can hopefully see one of these sturgeon that come through. That they're a drab color. They're gray, brown, so they kind of blend right in with the bottom. So having something down there, even at least for me personally, even if the water's clear like this, I still like to have something down there, siding or the pipes to see the fish. So, but pretty slow so far, but at least we got something to look at instead of just pea soup water like last year. So I'm pumped up. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're happy about this visibility right here, and we're talking about, we're going to speak it into existence, Jeff. When we see our sturgeon, what are our steps here? Because we see our spear right here, and we were talking about some sort of toothpick that we can see stuck in there. Tell me about what's that all about?
Yeah, so we have our spear hanging here, and everybody's setup is a little bit different. This is kind of an old school setup. There's just a hole in there that the toothpick holds the head of the spear on, and then the handle is heavy, and so is the spearhead. And we have our ropes strung up here kind of systematically, so it'll loop off of there quickly if and when we get the opportunity to spear one, so it goes down smoothly, and then hopefully that spearhead will pop off the handle. Then we're just one-on-one battling the sturgeon with the rope and the spearhead in it. So yeah, I hope we see one, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's peaceful out here, and it's exciting. I mean, statistically speaking, after 10, 11, 12 years of doing this, we're hoping that we see one here today. But we've been out here all morning, watching and hoping for the best. So if you missed any of our segments or want to go on our website, fox11online.com, go ahead. But we're gonna get back to looking down, and hopefully don't strain our necks too much. But I can send it back to you guys in the studio.
Savannah, you always have great luck doing stuff live on air for us. I was optimistic today, but hopefully you can grab one in the next couple minutes.
Getting out and experiencing the sturgeon spearing season is part of how we live here in Northeast Wisconsin. And after much anticipation and this very long line of vehicles heading onto the ice this morning, day 1 of the 2026 campaign is in the books. Fox 11's Eric Peterson has our story from Lake Winnebago.
About 2 miles off the eastern Lake Winnebago shoreline near Pipe, Jeff Zanutich sits inside this tiny shack.
Sturgeon spearing is something that I had wanted to do since I was a young man, growing up in Milwaukee, and it seemed so far kind of out of reach.
After learning the ropes, he patiently waits to spear his first prehistoric fish.
Everybody's here to see a sturgeon.
Across Lake Winnebago near Paynes Point, some found success. Steve Tritt speared this 43-pounder and was the first to arrive at the Neenah registration station.
Yep, back-to-back years, done early, done before 8 o'clock, so now I get the rest of the weekend for free time.
About a half hour later, Brian Davis registered this 49-pounder.
It was there. We got good visibility. Fish come in. We were there 20 minutes max. Yeah. Good year.
Everyone's got a very nice kind of celebratory atmosphere. It's good seeing a good solid spearing season again.
DNR sturgeon biologist Margaret Stadig says so far conditions both on and below the ice hit the mark.
In general, we're seeing a lot of great water clarity throughout the system. We had a lot of ice to start with to begin with anyways, and so because of that, we're seeing the fruits of our labor, the fact that we're seeing a lot of fish come in.
Back on this section of Lake Winnebago, Jeff Zanutich patiently waits to spear his first sturgeon.
It's just a thrill in the chase and the hunt. I like the challenge. I like the challenge of, I don't care if the season went 20 days, I'd sit out here 20 days until I got one. That's just me.
On Lake Winnebago, Eric Peterson, Fox 11 News.
And today, a total of 654 sturgeon were speared during day one of the season. The Wisconsin DNR says 479 of those were on Lake Winnebago, with 53 being juvenile females, 239 adult females, and 187 males. 175 sturgeon were also speared on the upriver lakes. 24 were juvenile females, 49 were adult females, and 102 were males. The DNR says that spearers in the upriver lakes should check for daily updates as they are already nearing the harvest caps this year.
In February, sturgeon spearing is a big part of how we live in Wisconsin. The 2026 season kicked off this weekend with a successful day on Saturday. Day 2 today was also good, so much so that tomorrow will be the final day of spearing on the upriver lakes. Among those taking fish, a father and his 2 sons. Fox 11's Eric Morris tonight has their story.
It's going to be heavy.
For Brandon Arns, growing up on Lake Winnebago, sturgeon spearing is a longtime family tradition. Now he's passing it on to his sons, Raiden and Riker, on Lake Poygan.
We had 6 of them before 8 o'clock this morning on the ice. Right away this morning, 7:01, we heard screaming. My sister got one, and then like 7:15, and then like was bang, 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 and then these 2 ended up hopping in the shack together. Like we were all just kind of celebrating in another shack, and all of a sudden he started screaming, and we all ran over there and ripped the door open.
This is Riker's 3rd year sturgeon spearing. He brought one in weighing 38 pounds.
I was just waiting, and it came right below my feet, and I waited till it got below me, and I speared it.
His brother Raiden is getting to experience the sport for the first time this year. The sturgeon he brought in for registration was a bit heavier, at 111.2 pounds.
111.2.
That fish is 65 pounds heavier than you.
Riker was yelling at me because I wasn't paying attention to the hole. I was just like daydreaming off. And then right after he said that, he went, "Oh, big sturgeon, big sturgeon." And I just threw it, and I got him.
Excited?
Yeah, he's got a bigger
super.
fish than I've ever got. So, and I've been doing this for, I don't know, I started doing it with my dad when I was like 5.
Now, the reason that Brandon, Raiden, and Riker, along with all the other sturgeon spearers in Northeast Wisconsin, have been so successful, it's really simple. They can see the fish.
Water clarity, I mean, the water clarity was good.
In the upriver lakes, 175 fish were speared on Saturday. Another 75 came in Sunday. The 90% trigger has been hit on the upriver lakes, meaning spearers who still have a tag for the upriver lakes can continue to spear until 1 p.m. Monday. In Winneconne, Eric Morris, Fox 11 News.
Sturgeon spearing season on Lake Winnebago. It's part of how we live here in Northeast Wisconsin. And as sturgeon spearing season rolls on, many people are finding success. But what is the health of this prehistoric fish? Fox 11's Eric Peterson talked with a DNR sturgeon biologist and has our story from the Fox Valley.
The sturgeon population still seems to be hovering at about 25,000 adult males and about 15,000 adult females, so about 40,000 adult fish swimming around the system.
DNR sturgeon biologist Margaret Stadig says the prehistoric fish population in the Lake Winnebago system is healthy, feeding on a variety of items like chironomid or lake fly larvae, also known as redworms.
We're actually seeing a really good batch of chironomids out on Lake Winnebago, particularly kind of in the middle of the lake and towards the north end. We haven't seen chironomid levels like this in a long time.
Another food source is the boom and bust population of the tiny fish called gizzard shad.
We monitor the gizzard shad population on our trawling survey throughout the summer, and gizzard shad populations this year are pretty much down, just like what we've seen the last couple of years. We haven't seen any really big increases in our gizzard shad populations.
And while this year's harvest caps are down slightly, Margaret Stadig says there are plenty of fish in the Lake Winnebago system.
Not only are we seeing large fish, but we continue to see some of those smaller fish come out of the system, which again is just a testament to the health. So they're not just big fish and they're not just little fish. We've got a very nice, healthy array of sizes coming out of the system, which just again is a good way, is a kind of nice litmus test on how healthy the system is.
Eric Peterson, Fox 11 News.
The season continues and could wrap up early if the safe harvest caps are met. However, it'll go through at least Thursday as the cap wasn't hit today. A total of 34 sturgeon were harvested on Lake Winnebago. That includes 3 juvenile females, 14 adult females, and 17 males. The adult female total is just 7% away from the 90% cap. The season total now is sitting at 1,405 sturgeon. Sturgeon spearing season is part of how we live here in northeast Wisconsin. And on Lake Winnebago, the warm temperatures are taking its toll, much like it is on our ice desk here. That is,
I don't know how much this is going to last, but
you know, it's steady. It is solid here.
I think one good punch and it's going to fall over. Conditions are impacting mainly the landings where sturgeon spearers and others are moving on and off of the lakes. Fox 11's Eric Peterson has our story from the western shoreline of Fond du Lac County.
We had really good ice. We had that really cold spell, and now we're getting a really warm spell.
West Shore Fishing Club treasurer Sean Wendt says a lot can change on this section of Lake Winnebago ice. On Thursday morning,
we just pulled all our vehicle bridges now. We just pulled the last one today, so all 3 of them are off the lake. We still have our UTV and 4-wheeler bridges out. But yeah, I just drilled a hole out by the bridge, and there was still 17, 18 inches. But like I said, there's water seeps right through. It's in the ice, so it's honeycomb.
The landing at Wentz on the lake is covered in sawdust and wood chips.
You can see the ice is thicker. It held and saved our landing here right now, for the most part.
The landing leads to the Southwest Winnebago registration station. DNR sturgeon biologist Margaret Stadig says the season harvest started strong.
And there's a 90% trigger on the Winnebago system. So once we hit 90% of the harvest, we have 1 more day to spear before we close everything down. But with fewer people out and less harvest coming in, there's still the good potential. It's just going to continue to creep closer until we get to the weekend.
Back on the ice, Sean Wendt says many of his shanties are staged near the shoreline.
We might leave them out there, see what happens with this weather change again, see maybe we can get some of our smaller shacks back out with 4-wheelers, UTVs.
On Lake Winnebago, Eric Peterson, Fox 11 News.
And the sturgeon spearing season is set to run for about 16 days.
Yes, but officials think it could wrap up sooner than that, perhaps even by Sunday. Let's take a look at the numbers right now. As I turn the page, a total of 30 sturgeon were harvested on Lake Winnebago, including 2 juvenile females, 12 adult females, and 16 males. Today's harvest brings the adult female total just 47 away from that 90% cap. And then the season total now sits at 1,435 sturgeon. Sturgeon spearing is part of how we live here in northeast Wisconsin. Lake Winnebago sturgeon spearing season came to a close at 1 p.m. this afternoon. It marks the first time the season has closed early since 2015. Waverly Beach in Menasha's registration station did not see much traffic until about 10 o'clock this morning. Paul Zwick took a UTV off Lower Cliff Boat Landing and caught this trophy fish.
Last year I got one opening day, and I said to my wife and boy that I was going to spear one on the last day. And I got lucky, and I did. I spent 2.5, 3 weeks scouting, looking for them, and it finally paid off.
The DNR's senior fisheries biologist out of Shawano said it's been a successful season thanks in large part to water clarity and the early ice, with more than 1,200 on Lake Winnebago alone. He said it's the highest harvest they've seen in a while.
And on this final day of the sturgeon spearing season, a total of 16 sturgeon were harvested on Lake Winnebago. Just 9 adult females and 7 males were speared. 1,540 sturgeon were speared during the entire 2026 season. 1,261 were harvested on Lake Winnebago and 279 on the upriver lakes. Stockbridge saw the highest number of sturgeon registered this season with 357.